Hi, everyone. Welcome to either the stream or if you guys are watching this on YouTube, then welcome to the video. So, in today's quest to be awesome with Janie Laney, I don't know. I don't know if that would actually be the name of my segments. We're actually going to be exploring the LA Works Martin Luther King Jr. Day server. In this server, we're actually going to see a lot of amazing things that go back to the March on Washington and some of the events that even surrounded it. We're also going to be looking at some of the amazing activists that played and are still playing a part in fighting for equality for all. Cool thing about this is that this is celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. not only as a person, right? So not only just as a person, because birthdays and everything like that, but it's also celebrating a lot of the work that he put and dedicated his life towards. So, but the March on Washington is one of the most famous happenings, one of the most famous events. Now, you can gain access to this server if you go to the LA Works website, which if you are on YouTube, there should be a link in the description. If you guys are in the chat, just ask me and I can provide that for you. On the website as well, it does tell you how to gain access not only into the server, but also where you can gain access for the self-guided tour. In the self-guided tour, there's also some information that you might want to know about, like, maneuvering, little secrets and stuff like that. So yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. A. Philip Randolph tried to organize a march on Washington back in 1941, but it was called off because President Roosevelt agreed to issue an executive order forbidding discrimination against workers. Now, being that they still ended up having a march on Washington, I'm assuming that the executive order maybe wasn't necessarily followed by everyone. And this is a fun tour because... Wait, am I really at the end of the tour? Well, I still want to show you guys this. This is a fun tour because there are NPCs around the tour. I actually made this one. I made this one. I made a few of them. Not all these right here, but I made a few of them. Okay. Let's go back to the tour. So we're supposed to be following the yellow. On August 28th, 1963, nearly 250,000 Americans marched on nation's capital to bring attention to inequalities faced by Black people in the United States. So, like, you had a lot of people out there marching. Like, I remember, like, looking at a lot of the pictures and stuff like that. Like, you had a lot of people really, really out there. Had technical difficulties. Oh, yeah, me too. So Roosevelt agreed to establish the Fair Employment Practice Committee to investigate workplace racial discrimination, and Randolph agreed to cancel the planned march. So interesting enough, because remember, it says a day before that march, Randolph met with President Franklin D. Roosevelt. So basically, A. Philip Randolph was like, okay, well, I want to go ahead and organize this march because there's a lot of unfair treatment going on, and discrimination going on within the workforce, right? So what ended up happening was that then Franklin D. Roosevelt decided to say that there was going to be um, that there's going to be a fair employment practice committee that would investigate workplace racial discrimination. So that is what led to that's what led to them agreeing to cancel the planned march. So that's the reason why A. Philip Randolph canceled the original march. We're gonna go ahead and check. Let me go ahead and check my my stream. Always want to make sure that the stream quality is okay. Okay. All right. Oop. I almost spammed W. This march laid the groundwork for the collaboration between Randolph, Dr. King, and others you'll meet today for the much larger 1963 March on Washington. So it's interesting that in 1941, A. Philip Randolph wanted to organize this. Roosevelt was like, yo, guess what? We're going to go ahead and have a whole entire committee. They're going to be investigating things. Discrimination is going to be over in the workplace. 1963, there was a March on Washington. And for those of you guys who do not know, the March on Washington, it was like I feel like in classrooms, a lot of them don't teach it properly. They just teach that the March on Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. had his speech. They don't actually talk about the fact that there were a lot of issues with like labor laws and things of that nature. They actually don't talk about all the reasons why there was a march. And sometimes that actually kind of bothers me because not a lot of people actually know why they were there. Not a lot of people know some of the other people that were there. And like a lot of people like in America's teaching, a lot of the teaching is this. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up, was black, grew up as a black kid. There's that one movie, my friend Martin. It's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, it is a great movie. They watch that and then they know that he grew up. They know that he went to jail because he got thrown in jail before. Yeah. Not for doing anything against our now laws. But basically back then, as a black person especially, you really couldn't do too much. So there's a lot of racism, of course, that he had to go through, of course. But then they just like skip all the way to the March on Washington. So it makes it seem like he was so upset at the racism that's the only reason why he did the March on Washington. Like, yeah, no, it was about the racism that was going on, but it was still even deeper than that. There were several causes that Martin Luther King Jr. stood for, because it wasn't just and this is sometimes the reason why some people pick Malcolm X over Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that we should all have equality. All right. So when Martin Luther King Jr. organized this March on Washington, it wasn't just for the black people. Okay. It was actually for everyone. However, a really big emphasis on black people because Martin Luther King Jr. was black, right? So Martin Luther King Jr. was black. So, of course, he's always going to make sure, hey, listen, look at my people, though. So, A, because Martin Luther King Jr. was black. B, because there were so many laws strategically against African Americans, against black people. There were a lot of laws against black people directly. All right. It made a lot of the times black people weren't even able to be successful in the workforce nor as business owners. So there was a lot of stuff was directed 100% towards black people. So that's one thing I always want to let people know is that Martin Luther King Jr. wanted equality for all. However, emphasized on black people. Okay? So I know a lot of people, they hate the fact that, we talk about Martin Luther King Jr. every year, but Martin Luther King Jr. helped pave the way for several groups of people to actually being able to protest better. Even though Martin Luther King Jr., everybody that went through different marches, different sit-ins, things like that, even though a lot of them endured the harsh realities of early protesting, especially as non-white people, especially as black people, a lot of times now when we're able to go and protest, they won't release the dogs on us, at least in America. Well, they're not as prone to release the dogs on us in America. Back then, whenever there was any type of protest, especially, I know you guys have seen the videos where black people are marching and then they have the hoses and then they release the dogs and stuff. That was as a black person, that was something that you ran the risk of, or anybody even marching with those people. So, because little do people know, because it's not always depicted, there were people of other races marching, doing these marches. Okay? So anybody that was doing that marching was usually subjected to getting hosed down or getting the dogs. So a lot of these early pioneers and stuff, they endured so many things so that, not really so that we necessarily wouldn't have to. Because I know that they didn't all know that we would still be having to do these things today. But, they endured so much. And so now it's like to be able to hold a protest is definitely a lot different. Welcome everyone to the stream. Birdie Bird. Bird. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Family Guy. Because the bird is the word. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the stream. I appreciate the raid. Julia Core, how art thou? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Bark Squad. What is up, Joker? How are you doing today? Pickle, how are you doing today? Corey, how are you doing today? How is the stream? Welcome, everyone, to the stream. If you do not know who Bird is the word. Bird loves to make a lot of Minecraft content and is a super, super highly energetic person, and you are bound to start cracking up laughing in stream because Bird is funny. Stream was good. Jurassic World DLC today. Yes. Great DLC, BT Dubs. It is a great one. Howdy. So, everyone, today we are actually exploring the Martin Luther King Jr. Day server, which is a server that I did help on about like 2 years ago, right? 2-ish years ago. It's a great server where you can learn all about the March on Washington. There's NPCs in here, some that I helped to create. Mm. And so much information about the amazing march that happened. So it's basically a tour, and it seems like every year they've been able to add more features, and it gets better every year. So they have several different NPCs that are out here. Have you used the book yet? No, I didn't. I mean, I have this self-guided tour on my thingy. I didn't fly anywhere yet. Uh the other options let you warp to places quick if you want, or change your fly speed. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I seen. I seen. So there's a lot of amazing NPCs out here. You know, one of these days, I know that they're probably going to make it so that the NPCs start talking. You have now reached the Washington Monument, the start of the march. See the self-guided tour. You said click the NPCs. Oh yeah, I forgot they do have dialogue now. Yeah, they do have some dialogue. Let me. Oh, I want to be respected for what I brought to the game. I want to be respected for what I brought away from the game. Look at Dwayne Wade. Hello, governor. I have inspired students and young people to stage climate walkouts from schools across the world. Ooh. See, so it's really cool that you could actually learn something about the NPCs. I believe it is important to use my public platform to highlight institutional racism inherent in education, the justice system, healthcare, jobs, and more. My greatest asset is my mind, including the most points in NBA history. Since basketball, I become a celebrated New York Times best-selling author, filmmaker, ambassador of education, and Time magazine columnist. Ooh. So yeah, so you could actually click on the NPCs and learn something new about them, which is pretty amazing. So whenever you see some NPCs, maybe go up and talk with them. So we're going to be heading up on the Veterans Memorial. Oops. So this is a nice memorial. And I love how this is actually done. I love how this is actually done up. This is actually really nice. Now, I'm not going to do what I want to do and splash in the water. I'm going to respect the memorial and not go in the water. Even though it's very difficult for me to not go in the water, I kind of want to go in the water. I'm not, but I kind of would like to go in the water. There are 750 NPCs. Everyone who put those together did so much cool work. Yes, they actually did. I want to jump in the water like so bad, but that's very guys, don't please don't jump in the water. Like or don't jump in the water. That's I really want to, but I'm not. Um but I think it looks so pretty. Like, do you see this? We're gonna be taking some screenshots. It does look so refreshing. And I do have my shaders on too. So that's not helping, the fact that I have on the shaders. That is kind of not helping. Like look at how refreshing the water really does look though. Like I think that I really should jump in the water. And just look at the architecture. It was not letting you join in? Oh my gosh, why? Why were you not allowed to join in? Oh. Let's see here. Did this have a tour to it? I don't think it did. I don't think that it did. No, I've never been to DC actually. All right, so here goes the Veterans Memorial. We have now reached the Veterans Memorial. See Veterans Memorial on self-guided tour option. You may have noticed now that some NPCs are in color and some are in black and white. Black and white NPCs. Okay, see, I thought I was gonna read the tour off the thing. I'll give you the Hold on, Stifler. All right, you could go ahead and put the IP in there now. Thank you guys so much for liking, or sorry, geez, I forgot I was not on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for following the stream. I appreciate it. So that right there is the IP. If you guys want to come in and join, not a problem with me. All I ask is that you guys are respectful. That's it. And like I said, don't jump in the water in the memorial. Oh. Okay, so there wasn't a thing on this one. There we go. Yeah, just act like you're at the actual memorial. No, it looks really nice. It does look nice. It does. But if you go to the actual memorial, I don't think you're allowed to jump in it. I mean, I don't know. I've never been. So maybe I might be wrong. Don't jump in there. Yes, it is really cool. So if you guys are interested in joining me on the tour, you definitely can. It really we're gonna get away from this pool. No, you're not allowed to jump in the memorial waters. At least not when I went. Okay, so you're not able to jump in. Okay, we're not gonna touch that either. So this is actually really, really, really sacred, sacred area though, for real. Like you should never want to jump in any memorial waters, especially not the Veterans Memorial. There are a few games that were added this year, and this year at the end of tour, Janie. Hopefully people come hang for those. Yes. I think next year I'm going to make an outfit I'm going to make an outfit just for the tour. All right, let's continue. Oh, look. Oh! That's not memorial, is it? Is that a memorial? That's not a memorial, is it? I went in the water, but that's not a part of the memorial, right? I don't look. That's is the okay, so we're not the Lincoln Memorial, but like is the water, it's the Capitol reflecting pool. Well, okay, sure. Oh, what's up, Martin? You're just out here looking at people. That feature gets me every time. Every time that feature gets me when Martin looks at you at the podium. Because that's where you want to go fisticuffs. But we're not going to go fisticuffs on this great day. Okay. So fun enough, is this the parkour area? Fun enough, I know some of the people who played a part in the building of all of this. And yeah, it was really, 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 really wild the first year. There was a lot going on. It was whoo, there was so much going on. So what I will say is as you look at these these NPCs had to be named. And when you go ahead and you tag a name to an NPC, of course, it can pop up. It's basically like tagging a gamer tag, or not a gamer tag, but like an in-game name. Okay. One of the issues that we had while originally creating this was that there were several times where we couldn't put the NAACP. We couldn't put certain words because it would actually pop up a racist skin. Because when you add these names to the game, whatever skin pops up that is associated with that name, it's going to pop up with the actual skin. So we saw a lot of racist skins actually populate when going in and naming these NPCs. It was really frustrating. It was really frustrating, not only because because it was like racist and stuff like that. Like that was maybe expected, maybe to happen once or twice, but there were so many. A few of them, yes, but a lot of them, the reason why they had to go ahead and put the whole entire name was because simplified into like the abbreviations and all of that and everything like that. They couldn't do it. So at least, yes, we have more in detail, right? More in detail names, which is always great, but it just sucks that like it had to be like this. So yeah, so one of these days, one of these days, Abraham Lincoln is going to be created all the way. It's just there's a lot of work. Like this stuff was done by hand, essentially. Um, one of the people who worked on it, Mike Washburn, is actually Canadian. He's actually Canadian, and like, oh my God, it was like a lot of this was actually trending on Reddit the first year. He did really, really, really great. So I just had some help, or not had some help. Ooh, I helped do to create some of the finishing touches of the first year, which I helped to create a lot of the NPCs. I helped to kind of do some like word checks on some of the material. Um, other than that, I was just there as a content creator. The first time that it opened was 2021. Um I yeah, so I joined them around 2021. We also had some shirts created as well for the tour, for people who are giving the tours and everything like that. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And they add new stuff all the time now. I guess every year there's gonna be more things. Stifler is actually on the team as well now. It is important. And next year I'm going to provide them with a template that all of the content creators can go ahead and use. So that way it makes promoting a whole lot easier for us, and we could like start promoting beforehand. So it's not like, so yeah. Um Christian minister who helped establish the SCLC with Martin Luther King. I fought I fought to end school segregation and participated in the freedom rides. The KKK tried to silence me by blowing up my home on Christmas Day 1956. The historic March for Voting Rights from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama in 1965. In an effort to provide a source of low-income housing, I established the Shuttlesworth Housing Foundation in Cincinnati in 1980s. If freedom belongs to anybody, it belongs to everybody. And until everybody has freedom, nobody is really free. Which is a very important statement, because originally, so if you guys look at the Scott Dredd case, they do actually, within the case, they do actually solidify and let people know that, yeah, when this country was formed, this country did not have slaves, did not have black people listed as people. People were not black people were not originally covered over any constitution or anything. Like, there was no slaves, black people were not covered under any type of ideologies of freedom. So, and that was actually in a case where they said, listen, you aren't considered a person. So when when we do talk about justice for all, when we do talk about equality, when we do talk about a lot of the things that people like to say makes up America, it's actually really frustrating to know that from the beginning, It was never intended on somebody who looked like me to be able to reap the benefits that America could bring. It's kind of frustrating to know that it wasn't intended on the Native Americans to ever be free to do anything. They ended up just pushing them on the reservations and saying, here, go ahead and make this money so you can keep your land. So it is kind of like, it's a great thing when people come to America. It's an amazing thing when people come to America. Because yes, America is one of the most freed countries where you are free to do a lot of things. However, you said Native American noises. Didn't expect a shout out today. Listen, because like I said from the beginning, Martin Luther King Jr. did not march on Washington for just black people. Martin Luther King Jr. marched on Washington for all people to be treated equally. And that's something that people need to understand. Just like the last stream when I talked about why I don't like the term POC, and why the term BIPOC leaves out black and indigenous people. So leaves out, so the term BIPOC is black, indigenous, then there's people of color. Because black people, not all black people, but many black people, you know, from slavery times, where the Africans were forcefully brought to Americas. We did a whole entire history lesson on that, so I did talk about the Africans that were already here. That's for another day. If you guys want to get into that, just let me know. But then the Native Americans, the First Nations, right? Were people that were already here and got their land taken away from them. So it is kind of different when we do talk about different races, because black people and indigenous people have a totally different experience. Totally different experience than a lot of the other cultures that are considered, where the people are considered people of color. Black and indigenous people have a totally different take. You had one group of people that were brought here against their will. You had another group of people where people showed up on their land and then did the whole entire assimilate or die, and then pushed the rest of them off into reservations where, you know, all of this stuff goes on. You've been thinking about this a lot lately. There's a lot. There is a lot. There's so much that goes into it. Being a black person is like layers upon layers. Martin, stop looking at me. Every time, like as a black person, there's so much stuff that you're constantly learning, not only about your heritage, your culture, and everything like that. Not like there's a lot that you're actually learning about your actual existence, because of course, a lot of black people in America, unless they know so far back in their family, a lot of black people in America, it's hard for us to look up our family. Whether it be because we either directly came from slavery, right? Or that the records that had our information, that had our ancestors' information, were burned. There were several churches, there were several small libraries, there are several homes that were burned by the KKK and even by other groups. Mainly the KKK was out there being wild. So a lot of us don't necessarily have a thought process on where we actually came from. So as a black person, it's like we're constantly learning. Hey, maybe that's not the right way of saying certain stuff, because that, you know, like that kind of hurts us to say things like that. So it's like really weird. let's just say white, but has one ancestor who was a slave, so he identifies as black. So Leah and I have been talking a lot about this and other labels. Oh, really? That's interesting. That's a whole, huh? And how the labels imply a certain experience that is shared for not that is shared or not shared. Interesting. That actually makes sense. That's kind of why I don't often mention that I'm Native, because I don't look Native. I don't live the experience that people who present Native physically do. Same here. Well, here's the thing, is that can be kind of difficult. Because being of a certain culture but not looking like that culture, and if you look more like basically if you look white, right? If you have that pale skin tone, then you could 9 times out of 10 be receiving white privilege, regardless of what your heritage may be, right? So there's a movie called Pinky, and I think it was 1949, I think, where this girl is mixed with black and white, but wasn't dark enough, and you could tell that she wasn't white. She was actually trapped in the middle, partially. However, very, very, very white facing. And that's something that could be very hard. That is something that comes with you learning about your culture, but you also learning about your family. Because there's culture, right? Because you can learn about your culture all the time. You could be like, okay, Native American culture, yada, 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 all this stuff. But what about your family? Okay, when you start to get kind of a more clear understanding of your family, it may help in certain situations. When people say that they don't have the same experience as other people that are of their culture, sometimes that can be hard, depending on what experience is the generally accepted one. Because me as a black person, I didn't have to live on food stamps. Didn't even know what a food stamp was when I was a kid. Didn't know what it was. We weren't on them. Also, growing up, I didn't live in the hood. I did not live in a poor neighborhood. I didn't do all that stuff. So when I moved to Florida, because I didn't know of these things, I wasn't accepted by a lot of people who were black. I was made fun of because I didn't know what food stamps were. Although I thought it was really weird, because I'm like, I didn't think that getting made fun of for not having livable money. I didn't know that was a thing. I still think it's a little bit weird, because I'm still kind of like, I got made fun of because I didn't have a certain general experience. But that didn't negate the fact that I am still who I am. Right? However, that's a little bit different, because remember, I still look black, right? So for a person who is more white in the face, for you to be Native American, I know it could be really weird, because it's kind of like, well, no, you're white. You don't have to deal with these things. You're not asked what reservation you're from. You're not asked if you're Feather Indian or Dot Indian. You're not asked several different things. You're not told certain things about your hair and stuff like that. You're not told that you're not asked about what your race is, right? So there could be a lot of stuff where it might seem like you're not of Native American culture, but it's how you choose to celebrate your culture. Now, yes, you can be a person who has been so whitewashed that you don't celebrate your culture at all. Yes, that may be in your blood, but if you're not celebrating the culture, right? It may take you so far away from the culture where you're going to continuously feel that type of way that you don't belong. So I would say this: if you know what your culture is, celebrate it. It doesn't matter if you may look white in the face. People are gonna look at you crazy anyways. They just are. That's just how people are. But celebrate that culture. Learn more about that culture. Because it's your acceptance and it's your viewpoints that matter more than what somebody else can tell you. Nobody can tell you that you're not Native American just because you look pale. That's not how that works. However, back in the days of the paper bag test, which in some places still happen now, back in these days, though, you would have been so white passing, and you would have had to make the decision of whether or not you wanted to share your culture. Because back then, it was way more deadly than it is now, even though now it is still deadly. Don't get me wrong. There's still people who are dying off of this. I did not see the movie Passing because I'm tired of looking at those movies right now, but I heard it was very interesting. But Passing is another movie to go ahead and look at, because passing was a thing and still a lot of times is a thing. Because back then, if you could pass, sometimes, and that's why I said you guys need to watch the movie Pinky as well. If you could pass back then, sometimes your family moved you to a certain area, or they had you actually work in a certain area so that you could have a better life, so that you could bring in as much money as you could bring in. So there were a lot of passing, a lot of kids that were considered passing. There were a lot of teenagers considered passing that were moved when they were young. They were moved either to another family member, or they were moved to a safe family, or they were put into adoption. They're put into certain areas because if you were passing, that often saved your life. But it was scary because there were people who were passing that knew that they weren't white. There are people who were passing that were still, like, they couldn't help that they passed, but that still puts that idea into your mind that I can't let people know who I really am, or the rest of my family isn't safe, or why am I the only one allowed to pass, but nobody else in my family can. So it was like playing the hiding game for some people. That was such a wonderful reply to a really complex topic. I love the way you speak. Thank you. I do my best to look at situation. Yeah, I'm jumping all on. Sorry. Look, Martin, I'm jumping on your speech real quick. Sorry. I do my best to like understand where people are coming from. And I also do my best to try to explain to people that most of life's problems come from us worrying about what other people think versus coming from what we know to be true. So nobody can ever take away your culture when you know what your culture is. But you have to know and understand your culture for that not to happen. At least these days you do. It used to be that back in the day, and not so far back in the day, actually, it used to be that before, you literally had to choose either death or get rid of your culture outwardly. A lot of these days, And mind you, Austin, Texas is actually one of the first cities to put this mandate in where you cannot be discriminated against because of your hair. And they allow black people with braids, afros, all different types of black hairstyles to work, locks and everything like that without doing that. But let's look at the military, for instance. All right. The military, you have to shave your head if you have too much hair on your head. So it then becomes one of those things where it's like there are some professions that some people take where you can't let certain arenas take away your culture. You still have to be able to be around people that you resonate with. And you still need to have that right. It's kind of everyone, but not everyone's culture. Not everyone's culture has a lot of takes a lot of priority in hair. Thank you so much for the raid. What is up? Not everyone's culture takes a lot of pride in their hair. And so it could be kind of difficult when certain cultures decide to join the military because of things like that. Thank you so much. Swanic, how you doing today? What is up, Charles? How are you? Fitting the mold is worse than breaking the mold, but it can be dangerous, right? There are so many. Oh my God, this scared me. Yeah, people are just going to scare me today. There are so many times where you sometimes you have to choose. What are you going? Oh, that was you. Oh, we need to take a picture together. We have to choose. Sometimes we have to pick our battles, and it's very unfortunate. Rosa Parks, for instance, Rosa Parks picked her battle because Rosa Parks A was not in the wrong section. Let's teach that right. But Rosa Parks did not choose to give up her seat. Rosa Parks went with everything where she went to the section where blacks are supposed to be at. But Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat for a white person, which is where she broke the law. So, yeah, you have to pick your battles. Sometimes you have to sit up here and think, is this really worth it? But sometimes you don't even think, is this really worth it? You're just like, yo, what's going on right now is not right, and I need to take a stand now. I'm doing very well. We are currently going through the Martin Luther King Jr. Day server in Minecraft. This is Martin Luther King Jr. So this server does depict the March on Washington, which is amazing. So there are different NPCs and activists in the crowd. There's the activists who are who have a colored in skin. They are is this my boyfriend? They are all like either activists, certain actors and stuff like that. But like anybody who's black and white, they are maybe like they are considered like our past people. Is that your boyfriend? Yeah, I'm just not rich yet. I missed that you were a thing. But anyone whose skin is colored and everything like that, they are like still like present day and everything. In 2014, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon designated me as the United Nations Messenger of Peace with a special focus on climate change. Raised $15.6 million to protect wildlife and the rights of Native Americans, along with combating climate change. Some of this funding went to support Standing Rock Tribe's opposition to the Dakota Access Pipeline, biodiversity, and supporting renewable energy. It has worked on projects in over 40 countries, has produced two short web documentaries, and has funded Debt for Nature swaps. Let's not forget Django. Okay? Let's also not forget that movie. But look, Leonardo DiCaprio has done a lot of things for Native Americans, and that's why it's very important that we know that Martin Luther King Jr. and we know that obviously the people who are still alive now, a lot of the people who are still alive now obviously weren't here, but there's a reason why they're up here. They're up here because they were pivotal. They were pivotal in some way, shape, form, or fashion towards human rights, which is basically a lot of where Martin Luther King Jr. Stood at. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't just for black people; he was for all people's human rights. And like I said, that is one of the reasons why some people pick Malcolm X over Martin. However, both of those activists were really core and really key to even my livelihood. Okay, there's still a lot that we have to go through. There's still a lot of things that we have to do. But at the end of the day, both of those men had really, really, really great points in several different areas. It's just they took two different approaches. So it was really cool. There are actually a lot of pictures of Martin Luther King Jr. In colored, that have been colored, which is pretty cool. Look at that. This is the Martin Luther King Memorial dedicated in 2011. Wait, is this it? Wait. Where we at? Wait, where is it? Is it this one? It's not this one, is it? Is this it? I gotta go look. I don't think it is. No, it might be. Trying to figure out where it is. Man, I'm not typing nothing. Hey, thank you so much for the subscription. Thank you so much for the subscription to the channel. I do heavily appreciate it. With your subscription, by the way, we do have a sub. We do have both a sub server as well as a sub Bedrock realm that you will have access to. Okay, so here goes. Here goes the MLK Memorial. Look at this grass. I don't know. The grass is just, it's very interesting. out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. Do not jump on the stones. As tempting as it may be. Do not do that. As tempting as it may be. You know, it looks like a little Minecraft villager with a VR headset on. Sorry, I see things in things. I was a drum major for justice, peace, and righteousness. That's really amazing. This is really nice. Is this what Washington D.C. like what the national, isn't it called the National Mall? Is this what it really looks like? Ooh. Really? One of these days I'll go. One of these days I'll go. When are you guys going? I trust you guys. I know I'll come back in one piece. Early summer. Let me know when. Because that should give me enough time. Do 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 do. Ooh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at the architecture. See, IRL, I know I'm not going to be standing on a bunch of stuff. I know I'm not. And I know I'm not going to stand on things and disrupt stuff. As you make your way towards the Capitol building, there are various museums to the right that you can see. One that stands out the most is the Smithsonian Castle, also known as the Smithsonian Institution Building, which is the large red castle you can see there on the right. Construction for it started back in 1847, and today it houses 19 museums, 21 libraries, 9 research centers, and a zoo. Altogether, the Smithsonian holds a total of 154 million items. What? Wait, is that part of it? No. Or is that just part of it? Okay, that's the Smithsonian right here. I've never, ever been. Can I stand on this as a block? Okay. Just look at the architecture. You have? Really? It was a good time? And like I said, everyone, these items, many of these items were built by a builder. Also, museum in Selma. Oh. On the sides, you can also see the Freer Gallery of Art, which showcases Asian works of art, and the art and industries building behind. Behind, there are also, oh God. Behind, there are also the Arthur M. Sackler Gallery. I'm assuming that's how you say that. And the National Museum of African Art. Guys, do you guys see this? Do you guys see this? Like, look at this. Time and effort. You can also see on the left a Washington's iconic carousel. And as you move down, there is also the Hershore Museum, which is the circular building and National Air and Space Museum. Although we are unable to go inside these museums, feel free to take a second to admire the building's architecture. Let's continue on to the Capitol building. Next year, we're going to put horses in here. Don't quote me on that. So this is a great way for you to really see how tall this is. It's not too tall, but I mean, look though. Still, like that's still a lot of blocks. Still really great scaling. Ooh, this is a pretty area. This is a really pretty area. So while you guys are in here, feel free to take screenshots. You can always upload those screenshots onto social media, and they do have little hashtags that you guys can use too. They're going to be a great way for them to identify your post as being a post about this awesome server. This is such amazing architecture. Do 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 do. Now this is one of like look at look at that. We've reached the Capitol building. See the Capitol building on our self-guided tour option. So this is the Capitol building. Not to be confused with the White House. Yes, this Capitol building was built by hand. This Capitol building was built by a Canadian. I always get on him for being Canadian because I think it's so interesting and intriguing how much he has studied and learned about America, about United States of America. Just look at that. Like I said, hand did this, okay? Now, no, you can't go inside, but technically there is an inside. It's just nothing's in it. Very much. And with me with the shaders on, it looks even better. But shaders off, it still looks really nice. Like, really, really, really lovely. Yeah, look at that. Look at the pillars. See, and this is pretty much kind of like a synopsis of what it looks like inside. Like I said, there's nothing inside, but there is an inside. So for anyone who is like thinking that, it was just like really flat, it's not flat at all. Like this is literally the only reason why we can't go inside is because they didn't do anything inside, because after all this work, A, what the heck do you expect? And B, no. After all of this work, to go ahead and demand for there to be like a bunch of stuff inside is wild. But this is so amazing. And I mean, like I said, I know the person who created this. And yeah, he is really, really, really amazing. I forgot how long he said it took him, but there was like a lot of stuff where he was trying to make sure that he had the proper blocks, all these things. And so I just find it so amazing that it came out this good. Like, do you guys see that? So like I said, everything was essentially planned out. And it also really looks good at night too. So like regardless of whether or not it is daytime or nighttime in the server, for whatever reason, it's still always going to look really, really, really good. Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech was widely considered the highlight of the event and brought heightened exposure to the civil rights movement. After the march, Dr. King and other civil rights leaders met with Presidents Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson, laying the groundwork for bipartisan civil rights legislation. The provisions of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Voting Rights Act of 1965 were a result of the demands made at the March on Washington. Political support was incredibly important in creating social change. Many of the politicians you'll see here in Missouri's first black congresswoman, Cori Bush, longtime California Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I don't know if I said her name's 100% right. All worked towards equality and justice. Since it's in Arkansas, you can warp there instead of following the yellow arrow. Type the command warp Little Rock 9. Okay. But yeah, so this was a great addition to the server. Hey. Give me a moment. Give me a moment so I can use the restroom. Because I've got to use the restroom. Forgot I had to use the restroom. Please hold. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. You guys won't be able to hear me when I use the restroom, though. So please hold. Okay. Welcome back. Thank you. And we're back. Okay, so the demands of the march included adequate integrated education. Oh, look at this. Guys, look. Look. I registered to attend Central High for my junior year. After the 1957-1958 school year, I completed my high school education in Kansas City, Missouri, since no high schools were open in Little Rock during the lost year. I went on to receive a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry and mathematics from the Illinois Institute of Technology. I have worked as a systems analyst, technical writer, and patent attorney for businesses such as International Business Machines. I also founded and was editor-in-chief of Computers in Industry, an international journal of computer applications in industry. In 1896, the Supreme Court decided in Plessy versus Ferguson that the separate but equal doctrine can remain law, resulting in further disenfranchisement of Black Americans. So, what a lot of people don't understand is that separate but equal is one of the dumbest things ever that really didn't separate but equal just doesn't make any sense. And the reason why it doesn't make any sense is that if something is supposed to be separate but treated equally, why do they have to be separate? So the theory that separate but equal is basically saying, yes, Black students, you can go to school, but you're going to have your own schools. Probably not going to have enough funding. Yes, Black person, you can own your own house, but not on this side of the town, you won't. Especially since it was never actually equal. Worse versions of everything, right? Separate but equal is a great way to get everybody of the same whatever you're trying to group off into one area. It's not like, it's wild to me. What's up? How are you? Jim Crow laws are states and local laws that from the 1880s to the 1960s enforced racial segregation. In fact, it wasn't until 1954 that Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka reversed the Plessy versus Ferguson decisions, declaring school segregation unconstitutional. Funny thing about it, I went to Kirby Smith Middle School in Jacksonville, Florida. Now it's called, I forgot what they renamed it to. Until the 1990s, they had the KKK walking up and down their streets, up and down the sidewalks in front of the school. Until the 1990s. Because they were so upset at schools being unsegregated. But what they did was they had the main part of the school for white people, the annex building for Hispanic people, and the gym was where the Black people had to learn. The gym didn't have any desks. It's really weird. Really strange, right? We're actually going through the Martin Luther King Jr. Day server. That same case promoted integration by mandating that school districts' desegregation plans should be implemented with all deliberate speed. That's legalese for ASAP. A very super cool tour. Oh, okay, good. I was like, uh-oh. Hey, you're not permitted to leave this area. Uh-oh, wait. Oh, no, what did I do? Oh, God. What did I do, Stifler? What did I do? Is it because I hit done? Did I accidentally destroy something? All I need is all-knowing power. That's all I need. Oh. So yeah, so it was a really interesting time how education uh nope. I'm confused. What have you done? I didn't do anything except for click done on the book. And then I went into bad people mode. I'm not even supposed to be over here. Oh, I need flight. Yeah, I can't fly. I can move around though. I can't believe you've done this. You know what? Okay, nah, I'm just illegal. Why am I not permitted? Wait, can I not fly over here? No, I literally, yeah, I just can't fly over here. I can't fly. Technically, I guess. Well, while Stifler decides to figure this out, um, back to what I was saying about education. Basically, what would end up happening is our education system has been so jacked up for many decades. Um, there have been so many times when they've tried to come up with programs that were going to help, especially like, blacks and Hispanics and everything like that. They've come up with so much stuff, but a lot of times these programs actually have really worked to make things even harder. Yay, it's fixed. I blame Stifler. Thank you. But a lot of these programs have actually made it harder for a lot of us. Because we always have to look at what is the true reason for this program to be thought of. That's why the separate but equal thing is so weird, because everybody hears the word equal and they think, oh, that's a good idea, but they're forgetting the word separate. Affirmative action even had a lot of negative effects, and it got very awkward too. A lot of times the way that these state tests were created were not really fair for certain cultures. There's just so many things within our educational system that really do make a lot of this stuff difficult for Black people, that make stuff difficult for Native American people, that make stuff difficult for Hispanic people. And it's all built in. So a lot of times, even though some things may be wrong to us, until it's deemed as unconstitutional, it'll never get done, right? I've been good. How have you been? So that's something that, like, we always have to understand, is that it doesn't matter how wrong something is. Unfortunately, something being wrong doesn't always mean it's going to be turned right. Something being wrong to you may not be wrong to somebody else. There's a lot of people even still today who think that racism is okay. They don't see any problem with it. We know that that's not good. We know that that's, a lot of us do, but there's still people who don't think it's wrong. Like, they don't even really think it's wrong. They think that people with the thought process that everyone is equal is the wrong one. Like, that's who they think are the wrong ones, are the people who actually see people as people. and not see people lower than them just because they're different, because they're different skin color and everything. So it's actually kind of wild. It's wild to think about. I know a lot of people don't like, they don't like to talk about race. I talked about this on Twitter, actually. A lot of people don't like to talk about race. They want to remain colorblind and ignorant to the fact that people are different. So then that way they don't feel uncomfortable in these situations. And that's not right either, because that's going to end up somewhere down the line. Either you or your kids are going to end up getting scared of somebody who looks different because you're not going to have allowed the interaction of a different person, and wanting to understand that they're different. When you decide to make everyone be the same, what is your default? Right? So for the people who do claim that they are colorblind, that they don't see color, what is your guys' default then when you see somebody? What do they automatically look like to you? Do they automatically look like you? Because you do see color. Even if you are actually colorblind, you're gonna see some type of shade differences. There's something that you're going to see. Whether it even be, you're gonna see people's hair textures. You're going to hear how people talk differently. There are going to be a lot of things that you are going to notice. So as a person that decides to outwardly say, oh, well, I don't see color. Oh, I don't see, we're all the same. Well, when you do see somebody who's different, how do you feel? How do you think that you are the same when they're clearly different than you? How do you deal when they do something that maybe is more according to their culture than to yours? If you guys are supposed to be the same, does it make you scared when somebody acts different? That's why we can't have this whole entire theory of, oh, I don't see anybody any differently. That's not true. That's what you try to tell people so that you don't get into awkward situations, but that's not true. You see that people are different. When you see that somebody's in a wheelchair, you can't see them with two legs walking. You don't see them. They're in a wheelchair. If you're telling me that you don't see somebody who's in a wheelchair, that means that you're constantly running into people in their wheelchairs. Probably like, dang, that's a speed bump. You do see people who are different. So when you see people who are different, how do you feel? Does it make you feel so like uncomfortable that you want to choose to see them looking like you? Because that often is what I'm getting at, is that when people choose not to see differences, their default is going to be what? What is your default going to be? Your default is going to be something. No, for real. They'll be like, oh, I see everyone as the same all the time. You better be tripping over people's darn wheelchairs. Like, it's just a thought process that trying to fight uncomfortable situations by saying that you don't see them is very dismissive. And it's also very unfair, because me as a black person, I'm not scared if you realize that I'm black. I'm actually scared if you don't, because I'm really like, look, we need to get you checked. We need to make sure that you are good, and that everything's good with your vision or what have you. You're the one who needs to go into, we need to take you to the center real quick. We need to find out what's going on. When you choose to say that you're going to choose not to see the things that make you feel uncomfortable, you may be stripping away that person's culture. You may be stripping away that person's heritage. You may be stripping away what makes that person that person. And it also gives your mind a false sense of security for that person in bad situations. So you may have a friend who is black, and you may be in an area, you may say, oh, hey, yeah, yeah, friend, let's go ahead and hang out. You take your friend to a racist part of your town because you're just so unaware right? Like, think about if you did that. Think about if you took your black friend, you're a white person, you took your black friend to a really racist part of town that's racist against black people. But because you're just so unaware that you don't see color, you took this fool over with you. You know, they're thinking, that, you know, hey, we're going to have a fun time today. And the next thing you know, your friend's getting shot at. But you're sitting up there like, golly, I never thought that this would happen. Don't choose to be blind. You literally cannot choose to be blind just because it makes you feel comfortable. Yeah, I said golly. I did. I did. But like, that's really where it comes down to, is that if you're uncomfortable about something, it doesn't mean you have to keep it taboo. It doesn't mean that you have to decide that it doesn't exist. What it means is that you probably need to learn more because you're uncomfortable for no reason. There should be no reason why you're so uncomfortable with people who are of a different culture of you, so much to the point where you have to dismiss them looking different. You have to dismiss them liking different foods. You have to dismiss all these things. You should never be that uncomfortable around black people that you have to make me look white in your imagination to be okay. Because when people say that they are colorblind, what I'm thinking is that they have reimagined me as a white person so that they can feel comfortable. They have reimagined everything about me that may come off as ethnic, and they have reimagined it as whitewashed to make them feel comfortable. So when people say, "Oh, yeah, I'm colorblind. I'm colorblind. And I'm not talking about if they are actually colorblind, because there are people who are actually colorblind, you know. But like when they're like, I don't see color. I don't teach my kids to see color. So you're literally teaching your kids to reimagine somebody else whenever they don't feel comfortable. That is very unfair. That is really unfair. That's like if your child went and got their school pictures done and you got those school pictures back and you can't even recognize your child because the photographer didn't like how they looked. So they reimagined them to fit their liking, to fit their viewpoint. They reimagined them so that they could feel comfortable around them, so that they could accept them. And that's not fair. If you look at me and you don't like my skin tone, for you to then decide to make me a white person in your brain does not help you whatsoever. It's actually it's actually scary and concerning. You know, you may really need to get yourself checked if you are deciding to mentally reimagine people and strip them of their culture, strip them of their race, strip them of their ethnicity, strip them of everything that makes up their genetic makeup. If you are purposely doing that, you are the one with the problem, and you need to get that fixed. You also need to ask yourself, what about this person that you may have never met? What about them scares you so much to the point where you have to do that? Do you find safety in seeing me not as a black person? Do you feel safe around me if you can imagine me as a white person? I might be the most, like, terrifying person in the world. You know? I don't think that a white version of me would be, I can't imagine myself being a white person, to be honest. I'm looking at my camera right now. I'm like, I can never imagine it. That takes a lot of imagination to do. I can confirm she is terrifying. I am terrified. There's something. People must know something. No, I did not. What is that show about? The Little Rock Nine completed their first school day on September 25th, 1957. Despite this, resistance to integration continued. The black students experienced adversity throughout their time in school. One, Minnie Jean Brown, was expelled for her response to the physical and verbal abuse while at school. Ernest Green, the only senior among the 9, graduated from Little Rock Central High School in 1958. Martin Luther King Jr. himself attended his graduation. As a result of continued resistance and integration, Central High School closed for a year. In protest, the governor of Arkansas responded by closing all of Little Rock's high schools. This year has been referred to as the lost year. Little Rock Public High Schools reopened on August 12, 1959, integrating the schools. Take some time to talk to the 9 Little Rock students and other NPCs here. To learn more about the historical context of racism in education and how the roots of racism prevail our education system today, check out our resource page on the topic at https://www.laworks.com/education-equality. Shut up. I had it going until that last part. Get in the server and you could check it out. I'm scared to hit done again. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be limited. They race swap 2 families. It's a disaster. Highly recommend. It's the most spectacular failure I think I've ever seen on TV. I might need to see that. That sounds horrible. Horrible in an interesting way, though. It's so bad. Let me get some screenshots. Do. The architecture is amazing. Okay, I'm not going to get in the water. Of 80 students who showed interest, only 9 were admitted for the 1957 school year. Please do not get in the water. The Arkansas chapter of the NAACP helped recruit and prepare the students for the 1957 school year. Daisy Gatson Bates, president of the Arkansas NAACP, played a pivotal role in advocating for these students. In fact, 14th Street to the north of Central High School was renamed Daisy L. Gatson Bates Drive for her activism. Eventually, the Little Rock 9 had received national attention. Some of the country's first live television broadcast featured the National Guard. Sorry, I get emotional. Preventing the students. I really do get emotional off this stuff. Hold on. Real thugs don't cry! I don't know if that's really appropriate to say during Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. Some of the country's first live television broadcasts featured the National Guard preventing the students from attending school and reporters calling in updates from a payphone at nearby gas station. It is really it is really it is really frustrating about that. It's really it's wild. This time President Eisenhower responded by issuing Executive Order 10730, which federalized the National Guard and required them, along with Army soldiers of the 101st 101st Airborne Division, to uphold the federal district court order to segregate. What's up, Meek? How are you? Yeah, 101st. Oh, gosh. I'm not going to jump in the water, Stifler, as much as I want to jump in that darn water. As one of the Little Rock Nine, I was just 16 years old when I defied... It's so sad. Like, jeez. It's just sad. Because these are students who... God, I can't even get through this. I'm doing good, Neek. We're exploring the Martin Luther King Jr. Server. It's sad because these are students who literally risk their lives just to go to school. And mind you, there are kids that came well before them who did get killed for certain things. There have been kids even after them who have been killed for being black at school. So, a lot of this is just... It's just hard to really, like, you know, not get emotional by, because, like, these are kids. Obviously, you know, obviously she's old, if she's still alive, you know, but back then they were kids, and it's just like, whew. Okay, I defied racist mobs at the school gates to be a part of the first group of African American children to go to the city's Central High School in September 1957, and in doing so, segregate... Sorry. All right. There we go. All right. And in doing so, desegregate. When I put my name down to attend Central High, I had no idea of the storm I was entering. In fact, Central High School was only 10 blocks from my house, and Horace Mann was on the other side of town, so I tried to transfer out of convenience. Since later graduating from high school, I earned my bachelor's and master's degree in social work. I have served under the Clinton administration as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Workforce Diversity at the Department of the Interior, and I'm now okay. I did something wrong. No, that's it. On September 4th, 1957, the first day of school at Central High, a white mob gathered in front of the school, and Governor Orville Faubus deployed the Arkansas National Guard to prevent the black students from entering in response to prevent the black students from entering. So, interestingly enough, the actual governor... No, it didn't finish the sentence. Interestingly enough... Oh, so... Yeah, no. It didn't finish. Not that I saw. Interestingly enough, the government had deployed... It says that the governor deployed the Arkansas National Guard to prevent the black students from entering. So imagine you're just trying to go to school and the governor is like, hey, yo, don't let those people go. Like, literally deploying the National Guard. And I'm not going to say that the National Guard is worse than police. However, the National Guard, have you guys seen the National Guard? See, because the police are scary. But the National Guard, when they call the National Guard on you, that's something even worse. That means that you are obstructing so much to the point where they have to use serious force against you. National Guard. Like, you're literally being told that your blackness is just against everything, and that you need to be taken out. Like, that is just to have the National Guard be called on you like that, just for being black. As a lawyer, I argued that segregation in public education produced unequal schools for African Americans and whites in the landmark case Brown versus Board of Education in Topeka, Kansas. It was my reliance on psychological, sociological, and historical data. Yes. There we go. As head of the Arkansas NAACP and advocate for the 9 students, I arranged for the students to meet at my house so they could travel to the school in a group. I also helped found the Arkansas State Press, an avidly pro-civil rights newspaper, and became an outspoken critic of segregation, using the paper to call for an improvement in the social and economic conditions of blacks throughout Arkansas. When the Supreme Court issued the Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954 that outlawed segregation in public schools, I worked closely with the black students who entered to desegregate Central High School in the fall of 1957. So it's really important for us to understand that, like, the whole entire thing, when it came down to the desegregation of schools, it was a big thing. And it's still like, I know some people can mention, well, what about HBCUs, blah, 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 blah. HBCUs don't not allow white people. You could be Chinese and go to the HBCU. I mean, it's not like you're going to be at the top of their list because the HBCU is geared towards black education, but you're not going to be automatically kept out. You're not going to be shunned. I know a lot of people from different backgrounds who have been to an HBCU. They were like, they really enjoyed it because they got to learn so much about black culture, African cultures. They got to learn so much about these types of studies that they know that they would have never been able to indulge in as much in other universities. One person even had pointed out that they enjoyed their time going to an HBCU better than a regular school, just because the culture was a whole lot different for them. Instead of it being about everyone else's culture, they were like, when you get into the school, you feel the culture. You feel the black culture. You feel a lot of these cultures that make up black people. You feel African cultures. You could actually feel the cultures. And that was something that they liked a whole lot more. They were like, music is appreciated a whole lot more. These days where people come together, you have the Founders Days, you have all these days where people come together. They were like, they had a better time at a HBCU than at a regular university, simply because the fact that an actual culture was being appreciated. But they never felt like they were kicked to the curb or anything. What is up? Yeah, I had to try my best not to jump into the water several times. No, listen, it's fine because I want to jump in the water at the darn Veterans Memorial. I've been trying not to jump in water. I've been trying my best. By the way, if you guys see anybody that's in a chair, it's actually a wheelchair. They made wheelchairs. But how are you doing today? We have reached the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. Wait, that's the self-guided tour. Hold on. Am I not doing the book right? I might be doing the book right. Wait. It says, see the Black Historian Museum on our self-guided tour option. Maybe I should just like go ahead and look at it on here. Oh, there we go. Nothing. I got it. I'm doing fairly well. We're looking at the Martin Luther King Jr. server. This server is a server that anybody can join to go ahead and learn about the March on Washington, as well as various aspects that made up the civil rights movement. But a lot of this is like the key things that happen in and as it pertains to Washington and everything, since this is like the March on Washington-esque thing. We have now reached the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. Now that you have taken a look at an historical example of policy in action, we are now returning to the Washington Mall for the last part of our tour, the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. Here you may see some of our country's most creative authors, thoughtful poets, and brightest thinkers. Be sure to interact with them to learn more about their work. The National Museum of African American History and Culture is the only national museum devoted exclusively to the documentation of African American life, history, and culture. Open to the public in 2016, the museum has more than 36,000 artifacts highlighting the contributions of Black people in America. The museum has wonderful virtual exhibits that you can explore, including one called The City of Hope, about Dr. King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference launching of the 1968 The Poor People's Campaign, a national multi-ethnic, multicultural movement to demand equal access to academic opportunities and security for all people. One of the highlights of the museum in real life is the contemplative court, a quiet space for reflection after taking the subject matter of the museum. You can find it by the building by heading down the stairs behind the museum or following the end of the yellow arrow to the sky. You can also find the entrance by warping to reflection space using the menu. I didn't realize the museum was only opened in 2016. In this space, you can see a waterfall as well as some writing for you to reflect on. We'd love for you to reflect on 1 new thing you learned today. 2, the most interesting NPC you talked to. 3, your favorite building. So funny enough, well, not funny, but interestingly enough, in the UK, there's actually a woman who is trying to make one of the first museums for Black people. in the UK. They really don't have any. Like, a lot of our histories are very difficult to trace, very difficult to get funding for, and they're very difficult. Like, it is literally very difficult to actually talk about our history for what it really is. Hence the fact that CRT, I think that isn't that the CRT thing, the critical race theory. Hence the fact that you have schools in America and in the UK who are the school districts, the hey, what's up, Queen Dark Lady? How are you? Thank you so much for the raid. You have so many people in these governments and whatnot who are so much against the teaching of they're so much against the teaching of racial issues, the teaching of how racism has played into, you know, whatever country and everything like that. They're so against that they tell people that you can't learn about that in school, that that's not right to teach in school. It's so awkward how they try to use certain things like separating, like the theory of separating church and state. They use so many things to try to tell you, oh, you can't talk about this stuff in school, right? Just because it doesn't have the same context as what was normally put inside of the actual books. I'm doing fairly well. We're currently looking at the Martin Luther King Jr. server, which is a free server that anyone can join. You can join it on Java, or you can even join it on Bedrock. Preferably, if you're able to join on Java, it would actually be a really, really good idea, so you can take advantage of all the features. Like, there are so many places across the world where you're not allowed to talk about racism. I live in Florida. Our governor is stupid. I don't know if I'm allowed to... Nah, he is. He doesn't want the teaching of critical race theory because of the fact that it will cause more people to think. People don't like it when those that they're trying to control are thinking. They don't like that. They don't like people to know their histories, because when you know your history, you kind of have an idea of where you want to go. When you know your history, you have more of a sense of who you are. And one of the goals of America, and this is just being frank, okay? One of the goals of America is to not always let every type of person know who they are and remain knowing who they are. That's why you have so many different things around in America where it's meant to make everybody be uniformed, where it's meant for everyone to think one giant thought process, right? That's why in schools and stuff, you know, I'm not really a fan of schools that have uniform policy. I think it's great sometimes for parents, because all you gotta do is just get your kids' school clothes washed or whatever. But sometimes I don't really like it because some of those schools don't allow for variations of the uniforms. Some of those schools don't allow, like the kids aren't able to express themselves, like, you know, and I'm not always a big fan of those. That's just me. But when you look at the things that happen around America, you look at how a lot of times when things are seen different, if somebody's being different, a lot of times they get shunned. And that's like really, really, really not fair whatsoever. So when it just comes down to us learning our history, when it comes down to us embracing our culture, take advantage of it if you can. If you know that your culture has a historical museum, whatever, visit it. Find out more. If you don't see that your culture has one, Google to find out if there is one that you can go to. Because the last thing that somebody should ever like really have to feel in life is feeling disconnected to their culture. And quite often you're going to have a disconnect if people are no longer sharing because people don't know the stories. So having museums such as this, it works as an archive. So I strongly suggest, like, anyone, If you guys know what your culture is and all that stuff, you want to find out about it, go ahead and find out. Do your research. Don't rely on them to tell you about it in school, because they won't. I mean, unless you're white, but even still, like, they even have a lot of white people's history. That's another subject. There's a lot of white history that is wrong too. Okay, there's a lot of white history that is wrong. And it was wrong so that they could depict black history wrong as well. So there's a lot of inventions that supposedly were created by white people that were actually inventions created by black people. That's the reason why a lot of these history books and stuff, a lot of them are wrong on several different levels. They're not just always wrong on only one culture. When you're wrong with one culture, is more than likely because you're fueling another culture. So a lot of the history books are wrong all around. Like, they got a lot of stuff purposely incorrect. I am a trans queer crit director. Stifler, can we edit that, please? Cause we need that edited. Can you tell them to edit Dominic Evans, please? The language. He just called himself a Crip. It's a gang. No, Dominic Evans is not in a gang. Director and writer, consultant, Twitch streamer, dad, and self-proclaimed nerd. And matter of fact, I've met Dominic, actually. Just because of the fact that it says Crip. And that's a... I kind of want to message him and tell him that and just be like, yo, when did you join the gang? He's probably going to be like, what? I'm going to be like, yes. Why does it sound here that you're a Crip? I mean, I get it. You know, but it's the fact that they... Yeah. Just to make it... just to make it so that nobody could get a different idea. You know. Yeah, and he's wearing blue. And we don't need anybody trying to do an initiation. We don't need that. But yes. So, we're doing pretty good today. So, in 2014, I founded Film Disc, a Twitter chat about disability in media. Which, if you guys are not following, if you're not following them though, you need to. You need to. Yes, as in disabled, yes. So yeah, they are disabled, but it would be nice if either there was an asterisk or if it has cripple, or like if there's information, because of the fact that, remember that there's kids coming in and out of here. I just don't want them to end up Stifler. alert. Oh, this is funny. I'm definitely gonna message. I'm gonna message him and just like. No, I know. I'm gonna message him I'm gonna message them and I'm sure that they're gonna be like, "Yo, that's funny." I think that they're still following me on Twitter. They're gonna be like, "Yo, what?" Because they do have a sense of humor though, like on the other end of things. But yeah, so just so we know, it's not being part of the Crips. Okay. Okay, have a great night. Woo! We're good. Only because, but I mean, I do understand it. If that is in their bio, then yeah, keep it. But just make note. Like it would be good if, say, for instance, at the end, that they put that as a note so that people know, because like it's still a learning. Okay,
Hello.
it's still a
I
learning
hope you
thing.
are having a good day. Lurking, but have a good stream.
Thank you. Thank you, Queen Dark Lady. Yes, find something good to eat. Thank you, Major Respect. So yeah, so being able to have like some kind of asterisk, or being able to have some kind of extra connotation on it, because remember, since there are students that are going to be going in and out of here, and not everybody is actually familiar with that language, yeah. Plus, since this is also an LA Works thing, it's like you don't want anybody to think, okay, LA, you don't want anybody to, cause it's always, cause like I think in the mind of a child a lot of times, and so like I'm like, okay, well, so, and also it's a great way for people to learn more about language. Just if there's a way to like, I love the fact, so they, like I said, every single year they add more into this, and I love this. Look, it's Steven. I love the fact that they actually added people from the content creation spaces. I am a champion, able gamer, and advocate for people with disabilities. I use video games as a means of social connection for homebound individuals. I suffer from spinal muscular atrophy and am homebound. I've spoken out on the lack of accessibility options for games and advocate developers to change it. I have recently raised over $1 million for the able gamers to continue helping other people like me. I raise awareness for disabled people in the gaming community. I recently started the Game Accessibility Awards to highlight games and developers that best handle accessibility. I convinced Among Us developers to add symbols to the color-coded wire task. So, Steven is a really, really, really cool person, by the way. Is it Kamal Bell? I've been dubbed a socio-political comedian. I use my comedic gifts to talk about race and other social issues in the U.S. I currently host the CNN show United Shades of America and the podcast Politically Reactive. From my memoir, When Art Sets Racism in the Past, it allows white people and others to say to themselves, wow, that racism sure was bad way back then. My response is always, yeah, you want to know another time when racism was bad? Earlier today? Oh, was bad earlier today. Sorry. I missed the punchline. Sorry. Other cool things about me. My wife, Dr. Melissa Hudson Bell, and I have 2 beautiful daughters. I am an ACLU artist ambassador for racial justice. I co-created Laughter Against the Machine to document U.S. cities during the 2011 Occupy protests. Yeah. Really, really cool to see a lot of amazing people. Don't get in the water, Janie. Even though you know you want to. You know what? I really do. Well, you know what? Listen, I'm not going to, but I'm just gonna go ahead and look at my reflection and stuff like that. I really want to just jump in because why not, you know? But I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. As much as I want to, I won't. All right, let's make sure that we went everywhere. Wait, was this right? Oh, down here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In this space, you can see the waterfall as well as some writing for you to reflect on. We'd love for you to reflect on what new thing you learned today, the most interesting NPC you talked to, your favorite building. Okay. That's water. We are determined to work and fight until justice rains down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's like a movie villain, like for real. The water is so nice though. I ask no monument, proud and high to arrest the gaze of passersby. All that my yearning spirit craves is bury me not in the land of slaves. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. So this is actually stating something like really, really big. To be honest with you, people, I don't know how to say it. You know how these days on social media you have people who are like these social injustice warriors. You have people who they get on the internet and they're, you know, they tell it like it is, what have you. And a lot of times it can feel like they're just doing it just to be recognized. Because unfortunately, a lot of people do it just to be recognized. But this statement is literally saying, I don't need to have, like, you don't need to sit up there and make a whole entire monument of me. You don't need to name nothing after me or anything like that. Because, A, it's not about me. But also, if the work is not done, there's no sense in doing all of that if yet and still when you bury me, I'm still literally going to be looking at the same stuff that's right in front of my face. A lot of activism is just the right thing to do. And that's the thing, is that that's one of the reasons why somebody had told me, they're like, oh, well, you know, you're like the ambassador. You're the ambassador for Black History Month because of a project I'm doing. And I'm like, don't call me that. And they're like, well, why not? And I said, because I'm not being an ambassador if I'm just sharing my culture. That's putting a title on me, amplifying me when it's not about me. I am more of an advocate for education. I'm not an ambassador for amongst people for my culture. That, for me, that doesn't make any sense, because that's literally putting a title on me just for me wanting to educate people. And I personally don't need that. That does not help in the long run. Because there are still going to be people going through a bunch of racism. There's so much work to be done. To call me something such as that, there's no need. I don't want that title. That's one of the reasons why I find it so difficult when people ask me for what my title is because in my mind, I let people know this too. When I see myself, I don't see myself above anybody. So when it comes down to me talking about the stuff that I'm actually passionate about, I honestly don't have a title, because I'm doing what I know I'm supposed to do. I'm not doing something for a title. I'm not doing something to be seen. I'm literally doing it because I know for a fact what type of future I want to see. I'm not doing it so that they can go ahead and put up a darn statue of me for what? For what? The Statue of Liberty is just a statue at this point. Statue of Liberty used to mean so much more to people. But now the Statue of Liberty is just a Statue of Liberty. Like, people in America don't even take the Statue of Liberty into account of what it represents and what it used to really represent back in the times when you had people coming from other countries, willingly coming from other countries to get here. And that's a whole other story. But that's why a statue, making a creation dedicated to somebody, I mean, that's fine. You know, if that's what you want to do, if you really do appreciate something and you want to make a statue of it, fine, go ahead. But a lot of the real, true, and genuine people, they don't need that. That's why it's never enough when you see some of these people get on TV and speak, and they're having a talk and stuff, they don't get off the stage, sit down, carry their flowers, and think that everything is done. There's still more work to be done, actively more work to be done. So, you know, so that's why this statement rings so true, because it says, I ask no monument, proud and high, to arrest the gaze of the passers-by. All that my yearning spirit craves is bury me not in a land of slaves. Putting activists on a pedestal without actually looking at the things that they're talking about is very incorrect. And that's something that happens all the time. That is something that happens with Martin Luther King Jr. all the time. Remember, when I first started the stream, I talked about how people don't even know why there was a march on Washington. People just know that Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream. A lot of people think that Rosa Parks was sitting in the wrong section. She wasn't. All people know is that Rosa Parks got arrested off that bus. So when you actually look at history, stop looking at the people who are making the history and start looking at what history they're making. Start looking at at what viewpoints they were actually fighting for. Start looking at the big picture, because when you just focus on looking at the person, you get very misconstrued. Because if you want to look at the person, right? Because here's what some people will do. They'll look at the person. They'll look at Martin Luther King Jr., right? And this is without knowing a lot of history. There are some people who get mad because Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. Not understanding that A, this is not what that's about, but also B, not understanding the history of why a lot of black people were Republicans back then. So that's why, like, when you go and you're looking at these histories of what these people are doing, don't just look at the person and that's it. Look at their whole entire stance. Look at the whole entire arena surrounding what they're doing so that you can actually get the big picture versus focusing on the little things that are not that important. It's not important to know how tall Abraham Lincoln was. I mean, it's cool to know, I guess, but that's not important. What's important is, what did Abraham Lincoln do? Now, there are some things about Abraham Lincoln that I think, but, you know, they're not important to this, but there's a few things that I think about Abraham Lincoln. It's very interesting stuff, but, you know, this statement is just really good to me. Like, I really, really, really like this statement. It's just so powerful. It's literally saying, don't just make me be this high and mighty person. I just want to be able to be buried in non-slavery, like, driven areas, you know? I just ask to be able to die at peace. Like, that's all a lot of people really, really want in life. They just want to be at peace. They want to live their life in peace. Not everybody needs to be on a pedestal. Not everybody wants to be on a pedestal. A lot of us really just don't feel like being conflicted all the time. A lot of us really just want to know that we can die knowing that our children are going to have a better life, right? So, like, this is a good statement. I like that one. A change is gonna come. Sam Cooke. Do you guys think that what do you guys think of change as it pertains to a lot of things that we're dealing with? Like, do you guys feel like change do you guys feel that change has happened? Do you feel like there's ever an end point for change? Like, do you think that is there a goal to all of this change? Do you think that this change has been for the good? Do you think that the right people are in charge of the change? Do you think that the change is actually change, or do you think that it is just a wolf in sheep's clothing? Because a lot of where I stand at is that I have seen change, but I have also seen change where it just changes what something looks like, not what something is. So I've seen change where it's been more socially acceptable for certain things, but the underlying demeanor is that, no, that is still bad. It's just, we're going to change it so that it looks good on the outside so that everybody can get along. But, you know, I see change where people are just deciding to be tolerant, because tolerance is not change. I know a lot of people aren't going to get that, but tolerance is not change, because tolerance means that I tolerate you. I just deal with you. And that's not always the right way. I mean, there are certain things that I understand that, yeah, people are just going to be tolerant of, and that's that. Okay, fine. But when it comes down to these laws, tolerance is difficult because tolerance means I will allow you to a certain extent. So I've seen change by the ways of just how people are deciding to depict things. Not necessarily that things have fully changed. A lot of stuff has, but a lot of other things have not. I personally think that too many people don't have a goal in mind. That makes sense. Because we see people do stuff on Twitter or say things online or whatever that sounds good, but it just causes more problems. Like, for example, white people going to protest for Black equality and saying something about starting a riot against police. They might get their change and riot, but they're hurting the very people they're supposed to be supporting. They miss the goal. Right. And I've seen change mainly happen when it affects a white person. So when a white person is the victim, that's where I see more change happen. If you want me to be honest. When a white person can get affected, that is usually when I've seen more change happen. Now what I will say is it took a whole entire pandemic and Black Twitter to decide to make some changes to how police brutality is actually seen. Because for the longest time, Black people have been told that they've been crazy when they talk about police brutality. And it's really wild how much gaslighting has happened to African Americans in this country. But it took a pandemic and Black Twitter to unearth things that we have been talking about for decades. It is frustrating because it took George Floyd to be murdered. Don't care how you feel, said what I said. It took him to be murdered to actually, for people to actually like say stuff. It took Breonna Taylor to get murdered for them to actually say, "Hey, there's a problem with not enough representation." What? It took people being murdered for you guys to realize that you guys want to make, these little programs that actually end up exploiting Black people anyways. It took two people to get murdered for you guys to go ahead and make these little programs, these little 2-year programs, just to make it look like you like Black people for a little bit. It took 2 people to get murdered for you guys to decide to start having representation in areas. It took 2 people to get murdered to start realizing that there's a problem. Like, it's 2023. It's 2023. And we're still having these same conversations constantly. Constantly. So when it comes down to change is a scary thing, because quite often the change isn't a change. It is a mask. It is a Band-Aid. It is let's give you some of this so that you shut up real quick. It is the government deciding what they could give Black people to make them calm the heck down. That is what I have seen in America. And I know that a lot of people could say stuff like, oh, well, Barack Obama became president, so there is a lot of change. No. Having to allow one person to be able to do something is not change. That's not change. We didn't see a lot of reform. So for me, I've seen some, seen people, dress some stuff up to make it look pretty and stuff. But I haven't seen a lot of change. I've seen some change, but not a lot. Because when he was murdered and they didn't have a choice but to see it on TV, suddenly they were confronted and had to give a response. Right. It's now coming down to the fact of the matter, because now that we see it, we believe it. Now that we can see it, we're going to openly believe it, because before you guys didn't have enough evidence. Yet and still, you have so many black people sitting in prison for circumstantial evidence. So it's kind of a weird thing how a lot of this stuff has happened, because yes, a change is going to come, but in order for a change to come, we have to deal with a lot of these lulls in time where it doesn't feel like there's any change whatsoever. We have to continue to do our best to create that change. It should never, ever, ever have to take a pandemic for us to be able to look at ourselves and say, yo, there's a problem. Should never have to take that. That's why the last couple of years have been so weird. And, I know that, like, a lot of people, they've told me, even with me doing Black Minecraft, there have been a lot of people that have told me, oh, well, you were able to do X, Y, and Z with Minecraft, so you should be happy. And I'm like, I'm not seeing a change. I'm seeing little bouts of improvement, but I'm not seeing a change. Like, when you change from a liquid to a gas, that's a change. That's an actual change. Like, you see the change. You don't have to take a magnifying glass and say, oh, yeah, there's a little change going on right there. No, you see a change. You experience a change. You feel a change. You smell a change. There is change. So yes, there have been quite a few changes from the 50s until now. I'm not going to ever deny that. However, there's so much stuff we have to change that that's not enough. That is not enough. Where we're at in our current time is not enough for me, because there's not enough real change. There will be a real change where a Black person can live their life without having to take repercussions for being Black. A black person should be able to sell their home with their pictures on the wall and all that stuff, showcase their home, and should be able to still get the same price on that home as a white person. And it has been statistically true that Black people's homes undersell if they have any Black influence, any Black culture, anything in that home. There have been several experiments that homeowners have done, several that I know as well, who have decided to remove all of their Blackness out of that household. Get one of their friends to fill it up with pictures of white families and all that stuff. Put certain stuff in certain areas. Made it look like it's more of a Caucasian home, and the price goes up. So until I see actual great deal of change, I can't say I'm satisfied. And that's what people in America need to understand, is that, yeah, you guys may always think to yourselves, gosh, black people are always complaining. Black people are never okay with stuff, because you can't keep giving us an inch when we have yards upon yards, miles upon miles of things that need to be changed. You're going to give me an inch and be like, yo, Janie, so are we good now? No, we're not good. Thank you, but no, we're not good. Now, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. I need some follow-up. I'm not seeing all this change that a lot of times we get gaslit to believe is actually happening. I see selective changes. I don't see changes from state to state to state. I see selective changes. I don't see changes where everyone is getting the opportunity. I see selective changes. I see where only certain types of black people are able to get certain types of scholarships. I see things where, you have to live on a certain side of the tracks. That's not change. You're still not allowing everyone to be equal. So that's why, the thought process of, well, we've reached the end point here. There is no end point. I know that there's a goal that people have, but we are so far from it. We are so far from it. So every single time people try to do this weird thing of trying to make it seem like everything's okay, it's really weird. I think the 90s was a good time, but it wasn't, but it's still a time. There was still a lot of issues. There was a lot of issues globally still, right? But it just kind of presented itself as a good time, because I feel like a lot of people thought that it was good. A lot of people thought that we were finally out. Rodney King happened. A lot of people thought that, we should be good because O.J. Simpson, which, a lot of people thought that we would be good because of certain people, but we were never in the clear. Never in the clear. There may have been certain people that were able to get amplified enough, but we were not in the clear. Vanessa L. Williams, she was didn't she get her crown she got her crown taken away for I think for posing for a magazine or whatever. She was potentially the first black woman to receive Miss America, but on a technicality she couldn't have it anymore, and there was still questions of whether or not that was even right, or if it was because of the fact that she was black that they wanted to take it that far. So there's so many things where in the late 80s and in the 90s there was still a lot of messed up stuff, but I feel like America, a lot of black Americans thought that they were in the clear. It's but truth is, no. They did affirmative action. Not in the clear. Because affirmative action was pretty much doing separate but equal. It just made it look a little good, make it sound a little better. But it was still trash. Affirmative actions. If they did affirmative action correctly, it would have gone out better. But so that's why when it comes down to the change, it's still iffy for me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm pessimistic. I'm not sure. But for me personally, change, it is going to come. I just don't know if I'm going to be around to see it. So, you know, take the little things. It's the little things you have to be happy for these days. I cherish my own freedom dearly, but I care even more for your freedom. Nelson Mandela. So this is a statement that's basically saying, I do care about what happens to me, but I care even more about what happens to you. And this, in my opinion, is something that, you know, it could be very tough when we go ahead and we look at all the things going on in the world. When we look at the things going on in our backyard, there's a lot of times where we might see that maybe there's situations where we benefited, but then somebody else didn't. So then the question is, if, say, for instance, you benefit from something, but somebody else does not, what is your reaction? If you see that you are able to walk down the street, but you see somebody else of another ethnicity, somebody else with a different culture, somebody else with a different skin tone being harassed down the street simply for being different, what is your thought process? Is your thought process, well, better than me? Is your thought process, I'm not going to see this, I'm not going to see this? Or is your thought process, yo, something needs to be done? And I understand, you know, for safety purposes, not everybody's going to do something. But, I mean, you could always call somebody, you know, whatever. But, like, the whole entire thing is, when you see an injustice being done to somebody else, how do you feel about that? Are you glad because it's not you? Or are you thinking to yourself, oh, I'm glad it's not me, but, oh my God, what about this other person? So I like this statement a lot because it shows selflessness. It shows that, yes, you're still addressing things that go on with you, but also at the same time, you're not dismissing the things that go on with other people. And this is one of the issues that I have when people say that they are colorblind, when they don't see other races. Because look, I cherish my own freedom dearly, but I care even more for your freedom. When you decide to dismiss that somebody else is of a different culture of you, that somebody else is a different race, whatever, you are no longer caring about their freedom. What you're doing is you're dismissing the possibility that they really don't have enough freedom. You're dismissing that, and you're only caring about your comfort. You're only then caring about your freedom when you decide to be colorblind, when you decide to be culturally blind, when you decide to dismiss somebody else. You are now only caring about your freedom. You're no longer caring about theirs. You are no longer deciding to even recognize that there is a problem when you decide to go ahead and deny whatever makes them different. So I like this statement a lot. It's a very powerful statement. Nelson Mandela said that. We like Nelson. Nelson's pretty cool. Nelson's cool people, right? Yeah. So overall, I like this. Good. Every single year it gets better. I think this is the only one that we didn't look at. All right, so this is the only one that we did not look at. This is the White House. Oh, I think this is in the beginning, but I didn't say anything about it. Yeah, I didn't say anything about it. This is the White House. Yeah. Presidents end up living here. You know what, to be honest with you, I really have nothing much to say about the White House. I mean, I hope one day I can see the White House. I don't really have too much to say about it because it's not like it's just one part of a big, obviously, of the big national mall. Like, it's just one part. So, but it still is important. I think George Washington is the only. Is George Washington the only president that didn't get to live in there or something? Because it wasn't built before Washington became president at all. Oh! Okay. Choose which maze you want to try to complete. Inside are messages about climate activism, and the end is an NPC you talk with to receive a prize. If you can't make it through and need help, you can still fly. Well, that's obviously not the way. I think I just made a... Do I like mazes? Mazes can be interesting. I think I like mazes on paper more. Like, I can't fully say that a maze in Minecraft gets me hyped. I'm also afraid that something's gonna pop out. Seems like you're a bit lost. Really? I know I could use my mini map though. It's gonna be around the corner turning his head at you. Oh my gosh. I'd be so scared. Like, please don't make big Martin Luther King Jr. out here just looking at me when I hit a corner, because I will be scared. I really will be. Oh. Okay, I thought I got it wrong. Oh yay! I received a sapling, so now I could plant it. Plant it anywhere in that field. Oh, our names are gonna be over it. I hope I get a good one. I might need to rig the system. Ah! Make me taller! Oh, darn. Yay! Ah! Ah! I got my name. I got my name. Oh, And it stays even when I do this. Okay, hold on. It's me trying to invert this. I'm happy. That is pretty cool. That is cool. So when you guys complete the maze, you guys can actually plant your own tree too. There's 6 remaining. So do I go back to it? Do I warp back to maze or? Can you reach the top of the part? Oh Lord, look. I'm gonna be flying the whole entire way. Jump from block to block higher up into the sky to reach the final platform where you can claim your prize. I'm cheating. If you get stuck, don't be afraid to fly. Psh, say less. Okay. It really boils down to this. That all life is interrelated. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied into a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Did you ever stop to think that you can't leave for your job in the morning without being dependent on most of the world? This is the way our universe is structured. This is its interrelated quality. We aren't going to have peace on earth until we recognize this basic fact of interrelated structure of all reality. Martin Luther King Jr. Basically, you know that person that cuts you off while you're driving? You need that person. No, they actually need to be off the road. But seriously though, like it's really the thought process that you can't do everything alone. And people need to get out of thinking that it's cheating. Haha. That it's okay for, I can't even cheat right. That it's okay for people need to get out the thought process that it's okay for us to act like we don't need certain types of people just because they might be different than us. Like, you know, it's not okay for us to think that. Please hold. It is painful to watch. Look. So everyone, I'm just showcasing you guys what the parkour map looks like. This is what the parkour map looks like. For all the parkour people, you guys might like this. I clearly am not a parkour person. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, look, look, look. When you get to the end, things happen. Though I was born into enslavement, I became the most prominent black scientist of the early 20th century with my sustainable farming techniques. Oh, wow. I developed new farming methods while teaching generations of black students farming techniques for self-efficiency. Three American presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, Calvin Coolidge, and Franklin Roosevelt, as well as Crown Prince of Sweden, Mahatma Gandhi, Henry Ford, and I invented hundreds of uses for soybeans, pecans, sweet potatoes, and over 500 different shades of textile dye to replace ones unavailable from Europe during World War II. In 1941, Time magazine called me the Black Leonardo da Vinci. Interesting. I actually didn't know a lot of that. Seed plant. And this one is a propagule, so this is going to make a mangrove tree. Ooh, in all of its glory. Hey, what's up, little lady panda? Yes, I am actually collecting my tree trophies for completing mini games in the Martin Luther King Jr. map. I'm in a tree. Oops. Are those Oreos? Yes, they are Oreos. Even though Oreo Gate is still going on, where Oreo owes me a bunch of Oreos, like 8 Oreos. Next. Okay, so was that it? Wait, did I do all of them? Last one is seed game. This one? No, not that. Wait, what? This one, I believe this is jungle. This is jungle, and then this is mangrove. Click the clock. Okay, let's see here. Oh. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me fix my shader, because this is looking kind of wild. Ugh. Is there any options? Jeez. Okay, we're gonna take off shaders real quick. Well, what's up, little lady panda? How are you? Under construction, under construction. Hey! All this is under construction. Uh-huh. It's a scavenger hunt. Okay. Ooh, to watch Last of Us? Is that a show or a movie? It's halfway done. I try to finish, I promise. There are 5 NPCs with saplings in here. You can find them. Oh, it's a show. Oh. You look. Oh my God. Are these cow heads? What are these? What are these? Or are these Pokemon? They look like Diglets, but they're also looking like people. I don't know what. You're in the mammal section of the museum. Those are anteaters. Where's the rest of their body? Eating an anthill. Oh my God. What is... Okay, so the theme of this is no body. They don't have bodies. I can see. Everything is a head on a pike. Wait, you might want to tell people to close the doors back. I don't know what other doors I did that. It's okay. Who's immune to the zombie apocalypse and they have to go keep her alive. Oh, that's what that is about? Oh, look at all these heads on here. I'm out here looking for NPCs. The NPC's head better not be on one of these pikes. Oh, wait, you're a person. Oh my God, that scared me. I was like, man, why is the NPC holding a block? What is this? Becky is not an NPC. The thing is, though, is that it doesn't have, like, names of people. I didn't know what was going on. I was really wondering why the darn NPC had a block in his hand. What is this? Why is the NPC a ghost? Wait, who is this? Oh, this actually looks scary. I know why they're supposed to be in black and white, but it does look a little scary. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, this looks like the girl from The Ring. I was like, this scared me. Okay. Yeah, the room not being done is a little bit scary. And then like they were just standing here. Okay. So this is actually an NPC that we're supposed to be looking at. All right. Oh, this is Little Feather. Okay. I was an actress, model, and activist who fought for Native American rights, including healthcare, portrayals in popular culture, unemployment, and stop looking at me. Jeez. And work with the Native American community affected by the AIDS crisis. I received a degree from Antioch University in holistic health and nutrition with an emphasis on Native American medicine in hopes to aid the Native American community while protecting traditional practices. In 1973, I declined Marlon Brando's Best Actor Award in protest of Native American portrayals in film to highlight Standoff of Wounded Knee. Yeah. Wait, so I need to find 4 more of these? Ooh, who are you? LaDonna Brave Bull Allard. Our river is more than just a river. It provides drinking water and is where we have our Sundance grounds and prayer ceremonies. Our river is the center of life that we fight against putting a pipeline through. In 2019, she received the Pax Natra Award and the William Sloan Coffin Jr. Peacemaker Award. I was the director at Standing Rock So. I never even... Is it Sue? Standing Rock Sue? I'm always assuming that it's Sue, but I literally don't know if that's how they pronounce it or if that's just America, like white America saying that. And it's always... I mean, it's always bothered me because the X. What's up, Birdie? Through my activism, I was awarded the Brave Bull Allard, received by many accolades for... What? Through my activism, I was awarded the Brave Bull Allard, received... for many accolades for I don't know. I don't understand the sentence, and I'm going to read it one more time. I was awarded the Brave Bull Allard, received many accolades for... All right, that sentence needs to be fixed. In 2017, I was featured... Sierra Club's People Power List, represented the water protector movement to receive the DePaul University Humanities. Yeah, it's the award, but the sentence isn't a full sentence. I was awarded the Brave Bull Allard, received many accolades for. So I think it was... Maybe when they were typing it, they accidentally copied and pasted that last part in a different sentence. Mm-mm. Or there's a comma or something. I don't know nothing. To receive the DePaul University Humanities Laureate Award and appeared as finalist for the MIT Disobedience Award. Ooh, what is that award about? And I received the Rebel of the Year Award from Conservation Colorado. You passed too, so yeah. I think that sentence is broken. So unless he's wrong, then I follow what he said. Okay, yeah. Then, okay. So Sue would be good. Wait, I passed two? I guess I have to find them. Hello. All right, so apparently I passed 2 NPCs. Do you like my elephant? Is that the elephant's body? So the elephant actually has a body. Huh. Would you look at that? I'm really a talented builder, huh? You are! And I'm glad that the animal has a body. I mean, I think it's really cool to be able to have a museum in here, to be honest. Oh my gosh, look at the whale! Who the heck are you? Oh! Man. Look, Listen, I thought that there was gonna be an NPC in the sky. Okay. That's funny. So Cooper is awake still. All right, so here goes a giant whale. I like that. I think it's really cool to have like this whole entire museum and stuff. I think it's like really awesome. Looking for this NPC. Do they have a cheat sheet? Oh, found one. Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul alike. There is not a fragment in all nature, for every relative fragment of one thing is a full harmonious unit in itself. In 1892, I founded the Sierra Club to do something good for the wilderness and make the mountains glad. I'm known for the creation of the National Park Museum and educating Americans about the value of the country's wilderness. This is John Muir. Maybe? Muir? Oh, look at the giraffe. Okay. Let's see here. Did I skip any? I mean, obviously I didn't find all of them yet. I'm half expecting one of them to be hiding in the closet. Oh, and we're back here again. Already went through there. Somebody's missing. Oh. Wait, I already got that one. Right? No, I didn't. This button is on a cooldown. Please wait 1 week, 2 days, and 23 hours. I didn't receive the birch sapling. Oh, I did, but it's not in my inventory. Because this one, I was supposed to get the birch sapling. It said that it went into my inventory, but it did not. Yeah, so I don't... Am I supposed to be planting these as I go? You didn't give me my sapling, bro. Thank you. So this is Dolores Huerta. And for those of you guys who are watching the YouTube channel, this is actually a really greatly done map. I just so happen to come in when they're still doing some stuff. Don't worry, the map is a great map. This is an ongoing working map and everything. So like, even after this event has been put on where people could come in and stuff, they are still going to be constantly working on things and perfecting it for next year and everything. And just having it to be where like a lot of people can learn from this map. So it's pretty cool. In 1962, I collaborated with Cesar Chavez to create the United Farm Workers. In 2022, I founded the Dolores Huerta Foundation. It is a community benefit organization that organizes at the grassroots level, engaging and developing natural leaders. DHF creates leadership opportunities for community organizing, leadership development, and civic engagement. Civic engagement and policy advocacy in health and environment education and youth development and economic development. I remain active in farming and climate causes. I serve on the boards of People for the American Way, Consumer Federation of California, and Feminist Majority Foundation. Oh, I have one more to find. Somebody has to be hiding. Who's down here? Oh, okay. It's a door. Oh wait, is this not supposed to be a door that you can open? Wait, hold on. Employees only? Oh my god. I can't. Wait. You can't call security. Okay, so we're back here again. I still need to find one more. I still have one more to find. There we go. No, I didn't. Nope. Rachel Carson. I was a biologist and author born 1907. I became a leading figure in the environmental movement. I wrote Under the Sea Wind, a naturalist picture of ocean life. In 1962, I wrote Silent Spring, which brought environmental concerns to an unprecedented share of American people. Although it was met with fierce opposition by chemical companies, it spurred a reversal in the national pesticide policy, which led to a nationwide ban on DDT and other pesticides. Silent Spring inspired a grassroots environmental movement that led to the creation of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. I was posthumously, I can never say that word. I always try to avoid. I always try to avoid that word. Awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Jimmy Carter. Team Jimmy Carter. Posthumously. What? That's how you say that? Posthumously. Huh. I'm starting to think about, I don't think I've ever heard anybody ever even say the word. Thinking about it, like I've never actually heard somebody say the word. Or they said it so fast I didn't catch it. So basically, guys, that means that they were awarded after they had passed away. So, like being awarded after you died. I was a biologist. Okay, yeah. So we did that. Yay! Oops. Let's go. Ah! When nature fights back. Oh, I needed a tall tree. Oh! You know what? Dang it! Because you know what I was going to try to do. I was trying to build the tree on top of the tree. So I can have a taller tree. What do you mean you'll trade me? Wait, where are you trading me? Wait, what does that? Hold on. Wait, did we? Sorry, you can't drop items here. Rude. I can't drop it. I'm not allowed to litter. Thank you. Aha! Yeah! I like the I like the last part where it goes where it just pops. Look, I get an extra one for me looking at grammatical errors. Kingdom Genie! Yay! So, I mean, overall, I would say I like this. Great map. Wonderful map. As per the usual. Really glad that I was able to, go ahead and showcase this year, as usual. The VOD of this is going to be up on, I believe, the LA Works YouTube channel. So, yeah. So, it was really good. We're going to go ahead and warp to maybe 1 or 2 places real quick so I could go ahead and take a picture. Your Streamlabs banner link isn't where it's not. The PayPal link worked though. Yay! I need to fix that somehow. I need to fix that. I need to like have my stuff go through to my stream. I need to do all that mess again. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do today, I guess. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. Yes, it was really fun. That's what I needed. Okay, my friend Martin. Okay, Coretta. I'll get on the other side. I don't want to make it look like Martin Luther King Jr. just looking at me because Coretta's right there. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Yeah, Martin! Oh. Taking screenshots. Yes, you should always have a great photo op. I think last year I took a picture with that. I think. Oh, yeah, this is forever going to... I think last time I was trying to figure out why, like, if this room is naturally this dark, like, IRL. Because I think that's why I didn't add it last time when I did my photo op. It's because the room was so dark. All right, everyone. So I'm going to be ending this stream. I do appreciate you guys for all hanging out. Like I said, this is going to be available, I believe, on the LA Works, channel, starting on Monday. I may or may not do another one of these just specifically for my YouTube channel, or I may go ahead and edit this video. Not too sure, but I do appreciate you guys for all hanging out with me. We're gonna go ahead and find someone to raid real quick. I do appreciate all the raids, by the way. So let's see. Let's see here. Let's see what they're doing. Wait. Wait, was that playing in stream? I got an ad in their stream. So I think it was. Okay, so let's see if what they're doing on their stream. How long is this ad? All right, so guys, have fun with Big Cheese. He's currently making music, I do believe. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you guys later.